Welcome to another edition of Everyone Hates Cleveland, the podcast. Nino, this is our second podcast in 9 days.
Ooh.
People are going to think we're going to do this regularly.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We definitely do it more often.
Definitely. Well, so yeah, we got these, we'll probably have to now, once WrestleMania 34 is over, we'll probably have to talk about that too. But then we'll play it by ear. We might be wrestled out by then.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thanks to everybody who listened to the first podcast. We had almost 1,500 people listen to that. And so we really do appreciate it. We're going to throw one together here talking about the card at WrestleMania. But before I get into that, WrestleMania weekend, Nino, is like this insane conglomeration of every wrestling federation that means anything in the world. We've got, of course, WrestleMania 34. The night before, we've got NXT TakeOver, and we'll talk about both of those. But we also have, I just want to get this out here, and I do want to let you know, the goal is 50 minutes here, but Nino didn't know I was going to start with this, so I thought it would be kind of we do have two other cards that are worth at least mentioning that are happening this weekend. We know, Nino, you're a really big Lucha Underground fan. I'm a big Impact fan. We have this very strange, odd Impact versus Lucha. And the weird thing for me with this card is that, like, all of the Impact guys that I've liked, the TNA guys that I've liked, are now basically in WWE. And I know a lot of the Lucha guys, I mean, Lucha Underground, don't get me wrong, still has a good cast of characters, but I know some of the, with Ricochet now being in the WWE now, I mean, is there, I don't even know the card. Is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head that stands out about this other than the fact that it seems like Impact Wrestling A is on the uptick? I don't know what does Lucha do live cards?
They did like a couple like toury type things. They had a event at South by Southwest a few years ago, but they don't really do the whole touring thing. It's pretty much just, I think the biggest part is a lot of the Lucha guys do a lot of the independents, and a lot of them are based out of Mexico. So they don't really have like a whole touring thing, but this Impact Lucha thing is pretty interesting.
Well, I think the interesting thing, too, especially for Impact Wrestling, is they haven't been touring. So this does get them doing something outside of Orlando in a different venue. Also, the neat thing about this is that it's going to be live on Twitch. I've never watched anything on Twitch. So this ought to be kind of an interesting little side note on Friday during the Hall of Fame. So I don't know. The only thing I know is I'm looking at I'm looking at Scott Steiner on the poster.
What? He's still wrestling?
Scott Steiner and yes, Teddy Hart are in, I guess, a tag match. So I don't want to get down this path because we do have, but I did want to throw that out there.
I will say it's interesting. The only time that I've ever liked Alberto Del Rio was when he was in Lucha, because he came out, he threw this real like fiery promo out about kind of like, you can tell he was putting a dig in at WWE.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because he kind of like, I don't know, say he spurned Lucha, but I don't know, it just kind of ended weird. And then now he's like on Impact. So that's going to be interesting that he's going to be like facing some Impact or facing some Lucha guys as an Impact wrestler.
Yeah, I think that at the very least, when you look at the outside WWE organizations, ROH, New Japan, Impact, Lucha, which seem, and we could throw Pro Wrestling Guerrilla in there too. It's kind of fun to think that maybe all of these organizations, of course, we know ROH and New Japan have this really cool relationship. It's cool to kind of see them kind of melding together to kind of form some sort of partnership outside of the WWE to compete with the WWE. So when we do have that ROH card as well, the Super Card of Honor, and I do just want to talk about one match, only because it's got a former WWE wrestler in it that they very much underutilized. I think the big match coming out of there for most American fans is the Cody Don't Call Me Rhodes versus Kenny Omega match. What are your thoughts on Cody since he left the WWE and has become essentially the star that everybody except for Vince McMahon apparently thought he could be?
Cody, I think he's taking that. He did a really good run as a heel. I would probably say it was sort of after the dashing phase where he kind of was wearing like the mask, and then he got like, I think he's kind of taken that up like 100 levels. Like he's almost like a a villain in like an action movie. The way he looks, he's got that like blonde hair now, and he like some of the stuff that he does is just like, now he's trying to change like the Bullet Club logo. Like he's just doing some really like
Did you see that
jerk
too?
things.
It
Oh
was
yeah, he's doing some really jerk things. Like he's on a whole new level in terms of being a real villain, and it's working. You know, it really is working, and you have to hope at some point down the line he gets the opportunity to like come back to WWE and maybe show them, hey, you kind of misused me. You didn't really let me reach my full potential. Now I'm back, and maybe they'll give him a run that he really deserves and that his family really deserves. I mean, they've always been such a great, you know, part of what the WWE is, and they've never really gotten the respect to match that in terms of, you know, whatever you will say, like titles or just stature.
sure. Sure. Yeah. I mean, growing up in the 80s, as I did, watching NWA wrestling and watching Dusty and I mean, Dusty was really in that Daniel Bryan undercard role as, and he, of course, is a creator of wrestling and kind of a booker over the years. People have ripped on him, but we can safely say that NXT is where it is because of him. I heard a really interesting conversation about how bad the promos have been with some of these guys that are coming up, and that could be a direct result of the fact that they don't have anyone like Dusty cutting promos down there in that promo class that he used to have. So I mean, you think about Cody, and Cody is always, I mean, at least to the unprofessional wrestling eye. I mean, I'm not exactly a professional wrestler, but someone who's watched wrestling since I was, knee high to a grasshopper. Cody has always had the look. I mean, the build. And what I love about Cody, and if you ever listen to Stone Cold talk about his character, Stone Cold always said he when he got to be himself times 1,000. And you said it perfectly, because when you listen to Cody Rhodes, and there was an interesting interview with oh gosh, I can't remember who it was now, but there was one of the wrestlers in WWE used to wrestle against Cody in high school, and Cody was like the prima donna, was the he was a Rhodes, so he was he was the guy that was the chosen one to win the state title, and was treated like a person on a pedestal, because of course Dusty would be at all these shows. Oh, who was it? Maybe it was someone in New Day. I don't know. But anyways, I think that he's figured that out, that he's taken that persona that you mentioned in the WWE that you could see him start to cultivate before he turned into Stardust, and has turned that into a pretty profitable run in New Japan, as well as becoming a world champ for the first time. All right, enough. We can talk about that all day long, but we're down to 42 minutes and 30 seconds. We do have a lot to talk about. So let's start with probably our favorite part of this weekend, at least mine. That's NXT TakeOver New Orleans. We have, I mean, we can focus on what's the one match, because we have several interesting matches here, and I think all of them could end up being the best on the card. What's the one match from TakeOver that you're looking forward to most?
Well, it's got to be the 6-man. I mean, you got a lot of buzz. I think it's got a little bit more buzz than I mean, it ended the show on Wednesday. It ended the show on Wednesday, so it's got a lot more buzz than the actual NXT title match. And just some of the players that you have in the match. I mean, you have two guys making their debut in Ricochet and EC3. You've got two monsters in Dane and Sullivan. You've got a guy who I think is a lot of people's sort of rocket ship, who just keeps doing really good things and keeps going up in Velveteen Dream. And then you have Adam Cole, who may just be the favorite and then you throw them all in a ladder match for a new title. It ended, like I said, it ended the show. I think that's the thing that's getting the most buzz. Oh, by the way, you got this blood feud, which may even just open the show because it's an unsanctioned match, so you know they're gonna throw everything out there. It's just it's tough for me to pick between those two, but I just can't wait to see what Ricochet does off a ladder. I'm pumped for it.
I mean, I don't, and you know, I spent the entire, since we talked last, I was like sending you videos over the weekend. Like I spent a lot of time watching Ricochet's matches over the past week, and just kind of the phenomenal runs that he's had in Japan and Mexico. Of course, Lucha. He's been in some of the best matches over the past 4 or 5 years. To see him in a WWE, an NXT ring for the very first time, should be spectacular. Rare is there a match where you sit there and you could make a legitimate case for all 6 guys to win this. I mean, you know, Adam Cole, I think for all of us has been the surprise in that he's the leader of the Undisputed Era, but he's not won a belt yet. This seems like a belt perfect for him. But then you bring in EC3, who was a world champ 2 times over in Impact at NXT or TNA. And you know, he's the first guy that they brought out when they announced the belt. So in the belt, if you've seen the belt, it sort of looks like it would fit him perfectly.
Yeah.
Killian Dane has always been the guy. You could tell when they finally put him into Sanity, he was always going to be the guy that was going to get pushed out of that. Lars Sullivan's gotten this massive push in a similar frame as Velveteen Dream. I mean, Lars Sullivan has just been mopping people in a very similar way that Braun Strowman was doing it at the upper level. And then you bring in Ricochet, who many people would say pound for pound is the best wrestler maybe in the world, and certainly he brings a different style. I think that kind of combination lucha strong style that's very, very unique. He's bringing to the table. So, but you know, the rocket strap is Velveteen Dream. Whoever wins this is really going to set up NXT probably for the next year, especially depending on what happens in that title match. So, who are you going with? I think. You know, we kind of touched on this last week. I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna go with EC3 here. I think they're gonna give him the belt.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's either him or Cole. I don't think Ricochet needs it because I think he just debuted, and I don't. Whereas some people know EC3, a lot of people don't know Ricochet, so I don't know if you can just throw a belt on him immediately. I don't think Velveteen Dream needs the belt. I think he would do a lot of good with it, and it would kind of establish this whole like idea of a mid-card championship. But I think you can do some really interesting feuds with him without the belt. And then Dane and Sullivan, we were kind of talking beforehand. I just want to see those two go at it uninterrupted, just hoss fight all the time. I mean, Dane's insanity. Sullivan can just go and eat people. It's fine. Whereas then you've got Cole and EC3, and I think you kind of need to justify the fact that Cole is the leader of Undisputed Era, and you need to give him something. And if Undisputed Era is running around with, you know, 3 of the 4 titles, then, you know, why not?
Well, here's my question, though. So as you ponder this North American title match and you look up at the Andrade Cien Almas match with Aleister Black, if Aleister Black wins that match, and there's a lot of speculation that he might not because they want to get him up to the main roster, but if Aleister Black wins that match, I think Almas is going to move up. So that made me think today, who's his next opponent going to be? And I still think at the end of the day that they would rather have Alex Cole wearing that belt as opposed to this North American belt. So I'm going to give it to EC3 as kind of his welcome. I could see EC3 and Ricochet going on a 3-4 month run, you know, and who knows where Velveteen Dream fits into all this, but he could be fitting in there as well. So we shall see. I think it's going to be a fun match. I don't think that's going to be the best match of the card, though. I think the best match of the card is going to be what we talked about last week. I think Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa is setting up to be a bloodbath. And I mean literally, this could be one of those old school beat down. It's an unsanctioned match. This is going to be one of those, I think, that we're going to see everything happen and anything happen. And setting up I think so. I think we're going to get some blood. I just think if you're going to unsanction a match and you're going to do some of the things that they've been doing over the years or over the past few weeks with them, you know, outside the arena, doing some of that old school stuff, I think we might see our first. We might see someone getting gigged here, but we shall see. I mean, I love the story that they're telling. They had a fantastic promo leading up to this match. I'm on NXT yesterday, talking, just kind of showcasing their friendship over the years. You know, Ciampa was in Gargano's wedding, and of course they're good friends. So they really did a nice build up to this. This has really been a year in the making. So we shall see. Is this the start of something, the end of something? We don't know. And going, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's the best part of this match is the fact that we have no idea where it's going. I don't know. I mean, every time we talk about NXT, I think there's always a tag match that kind of steals the show. I think this one has potential. Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne are phenomenal. The Authors of Pain, they have slow burned them for the past 18 months, and I really like what they've been doing with them. Adam Cole pulling a man. This is going to be an interesting day for the Iron Man. Maybe that's why he gets the belt. Double duty here. What do you think? I mean, who's going to win this match? I love what they're doing with Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne.
Well, for one, I don't think it's about time the Authors of Pain go up, I think, because I mean, what do they have left to do? They already won the Classic once. They've already had the titles. Strong and Dunne, as fun as they are as a team, I don't know if they're really, you know, a long-term team. So I think by hook or by crook, Undisputed Era is going to win. And I think, and I read something that kind of perked my interest in. I remember back just watching last night's episode, you'll notice that Regal said it'll be the Undisputed Era versus. He didn't specify that Adam Cole would needed to actually be in the match. He said you have three options. You know, O'Reilly goes by himself, Cole backs out of the match, or the Undisputed Era defends the titles as a team. I think they maybe they pull someone else into the Undisputed Era.
I mean,
Cole kind of works around. He's just like, "Hey, you thought you fooled me, but here you go. Here's the Undisputed Era with new member X. I don't know who it is or who it would be, but
I mean, how you know, the funny thing is we were talking about this first match. Like, how fun would it be if it actually is EC3, who's that fourth member? Would be sort of perfect. But
or what if it's Roderick Strong,
who obviously is somebody who they've dealt with in the past. Unless is there anybody out there what about Mike Bennett?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is he even going to be in the Andre? I mean, I don't even know what happened to him.
Well, Mike Bennett, so his story is pretty interesting. You know, of course, he came in a little overweight. He was having some drug problems and you know, he had this. They did this special on him last October on the WWE Network. I highly recommend kind of him going back and he is in. Check him out on Twitter. He is in really, really good shape. His wife just gave birth to a baby this past week. So perhaps Mike Bennett, a former member of the Kingdom, might be maybe the fourth member. I don't know. If it happens, I'm the man.
Yeah.
I don't know. We shall see. But I do love what they're doing with the ROH. And as we get to the main card here for WrestleMania 34, I like what they're doing with the Bullet Club as well. They're kind of pulling all of these different little things together in different places. So what are you looking forward to this card more than you're looking forward to WrestleMania 34? Because that WrestleMania 34 card is actually pretty stacked for once.
I mean, the WrestleMania card is stacked, but it's exhausting to look at. At least here I got 5 matches. You know, I know it'll take up not my entire day like WrestleMania will. You know, I can just devote an evening to, 3 3 hours? I think they're going to go 3 hours. I have 5 matches, even if they go 2.5.
It'll
You
probably
know,
be 2.5.
each match gets a decent amount of time. Whereas this WrestleMania card, Jesus, I mean, some of the matchups are just incredible to look at, but holy smokes, are you gonna like? Are any of them gonna get the time that they deserve?
That's the question. That's the question. Let's dive into this. I mean, there's a lot. Let's just kind of take it one thing at a time. As time starts running down here, Nino, if we have to jump over some things, we will. But let's talk about the Battle Royals, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Which to me, the thing that I really struggle with this is, do we not have a pay-per-view already established around a battle royal? And I know that the Royal Rumble isn't a typical battle royal because you have one entrant every 2 minutes. But I mean, what am I missing here? Why are they doing this every year? It seems like to me at least, it's overkill.
It's the way to get everyone on the card. I mean, that's what it is. It's just, I don't know. If you were gonna do something with it, like every year, oh yeah, Cesaro's it's gonna propel him, or it's gonna propel Baron Corbin, or it's gonna propel It hasn't. They've done nothing with all of the winners. They've stayed stagnant. Cesaro's the only one that's done anything of note, but he kind of already had prior to that, and I don't know. I mean, it's whatever. I hope Zack Ryder wins, and we're just all like, well, okay, whatever. It's the first hour of the pre-show. No one's
it would be fun. It would be fun if Zack Ryder like wins something every single year, like he won the IC belt a couple years ago.
Throw him a bone. He's still wrestling there. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, probably the only story that's being told like heading into this battle royal is the Matt Hardy story, right? Like, how does he fit together with Bray Wyatt? Perhaps we'll get some answers there. Especially like bringing in like kind of out of the blue Goldust. Like, are they going to create some sort of freak faction? I don't know.
But Goldust, they like turned him heel, and then he was out there like as Dustin Rhodes, like because Bray Wyatt beat somebody else up with face paint, and then I don't get it. I don't get what they've been doing with Goldust. Poor guy's been jerked around so much.
He's got the wrong last name, I guess.
He's out there with, Cedric Alexander. Like, what are you doing with Goldust? I mean, seriously. And then he had that stint with Mandy Rose, and then that was entertaining. And now he's back to just being whatever.
I don't. My guess here is I don't know. I bet he's going to end up. This is going to have another Hardy compound thing in it, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe Jeff Hardy will show up and win the whole thing. I don't know.
I hope I take back right. I hope Heath Slater wins. I just looked at him.
There you go.
He's on the list here. Or Breezango wins together.
They'll find a way to pin each other. Talk about the. I don't know really where they're going. It's hard for me to figure out who's going to be the heel. It does sort of seem like they're going to turn Bayley heel, which in my opinion is going to piss off Sasha Banks because I know she wants a heel turn badly. Is this really going to be the story of this battle royal? There's also rumor that Becky Lynch is going to be involved perhaps in a heel turn here. Maybe this is kind of a first push towards getting the four horsewomen together again, especially with maybe the four horsewomen of MMA slowly making an appearance. But is there anything to this battle royal? I mean, past that that interests you, or is this really going to be the Sasha, Becky, Bayley show here, since they aren't going to have their WrestleMania actual show moment?
I mean, they stretched to get 30 women in the Royal Rumble. Who's even going to be in this? Is it just going to be literally them and Riot Squad and Absolution? Like, what?
Well, I mean, they didn't.
Is this?
There aren't even any surprises at this point because they had all those surprises, with the. So I don't.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Like, wins, that's fine. Honestly, I would have rathered them just scrap it and give Sasha and Bayley the true one-on-one. you
Yeah,
know,
give them.
but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Again, it's a way to get everyone else on the card, so they're going to do it. I would prefer. I don't know. Maybe Bailey as a heel could be interesting, but I would just prefer them stop dancing around whatever it is they're doing and just go for it and give them a one-on-one match. But we're not going to get that, so it'll
Not
probably be
yet.
something like that, and maybe one of them will win, one of them will cost the other, vice versa. Becky wins. I don't know.
At the end of the day, killing time, I guess,
Yeah.
getting some paycheck.
It won't go. It won't go towards anything. Like, ooh, the winner of the first women's battle royal. No one's gonna care. It's not gonna. They're not gonna do anything with it as they normally do.
All right, probably the best match of this pre-card to me is the Cedric Alexander Mustafa Ali Cruiserweight Championship. I just want to throw a name out there that nobody's talking about. Rumor about 3 weeks ago is that Neville was coming back.
Yeah.
Is it possible that Neville's coming back? I mean, listen, I love Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali. They've been doing some fantastic stuff on 205 Live. We sort of touched upon it last week. Are these names enough for Vince McMahon, though?
I don't know. I think, I mean, Triple H is in charge of it now, so I don't know.
True.
It's on the pre-show, so if Neville's coming back, I don't think he's making an appearance here. I think that's a kind of like Raw after sort of surprise type of thing that they would do and save that for, which would be awesome, I think. But I'm just hoping that these two get a little bit of time and that it's as close to the start of the event as possible, because it's going to be dope. Like, these two dudes can go, and if you give them a little bit of time, it's going to be a fun thing to watch. I know a lot of people are like, "Ooh, it should be on the card." Yeah, it should be on the card, but whatever. It's on the pre-show. You watch the pre-show, or you just find the match and watch it afterwards.
Yeah.
It's going to be
good. Yeah, I mean, this was the same spot. I think Neville and Austin Aries were in last year, and they had a great match. So more power to them. Anything that gets some eyeballs on these guys. Yeah. Cedric Alexander has been one of the best indie wrestlers prior to coming. So I'm glad that he's finally, I've got to imagine that they're he's going to be the guy that win the belt. But Mustafa Ali is a fantastic wrestler. If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't watched 205 Live yet, just highlight some of his matches. This guy can wrestle, especially over the past couple of months. All right, let's get to the real.
Ali, by the way, I think he's going to win.
Man, that's it. That's so interesting to me. I almost think that Alexander may have been promised some stuff when he came here. So I think he might get the belt here, but I like it when we're on opposite sides. That way we can, we can talk about that next week if we get to it next week. All right. I'm going to bring up a couple of matches that I think are going to be letdowns. All right. The Ronda Rousey stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. I really wanted to look forward to this match. There are lots of things that I question about it. And I mean, most of it involves Ronda Rousey and how they've kind of built her up over the past. That's really a loose statement, built her up. I think the right play here is that they're against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. I think, Stephanie McMahon is if there's a better heel in WWE, probably the better heel is Vince, and since Vince isn't on the show anymore, like, Stephanie McMahon is amazing on the microphone. Like,
for sure.
That is so understated, and she has carried her and Triple H for that matter. I never was a Triple H fan in the DX days. I always I never really saw him as being one of the elite. I've altered my opinion on him over the years, maybe not in the role that he's in right now, but when he gets on the microphone and he does a serious promo, he's so good. Like, I really appreciate that. So they're putting them against the right team, but none of this makes any sense to me. No. Like, especially how they're building Ronda Rousey. I mean, first of all, shouldn't she be a heel? What am I missing here?
I don't even know if she should. I don't really care if she's a heel or a face. I don't want her talking. Like that's my biggest issue. Because the minute she opens her mouth, she just, I don't know, just like in the picture and everything else. Like you see her, she's got this like, so maybe in that regard, maybe she should be the heel, but she just looks like this pissed off, like female Terminator that just wants to break people's bones. Make her that. That's what
Right.
I want her to be. Because I think that's kind of what she like. I didn't really watch UFC that much, but I get the feeling that she was just this like robot looking woman that was just there to just eat people alive. Like that's what she needs to be. She doesn't need to come out here smiling and shaking hands and saying that she's like happy to be here and then turns all like pissed off. Like just make her a badass.
Well, and they're like this whole subliminal comparison to Rowdy Roddy Piper, one of the top 5 promo guys maybe in the history of the business, who I mean, I get it. Like she looks at him as a mentor in professional wrestling and he gave her a jacket and all that, but
that's fine.
I just there's nothing about any of this that fits. When she came walking out with Rowdy Roddy Piper's jacket, and it looked like, you know, something that my dad put on me when I was 5 that was one of his coats. Like that's kind of, there's the metaphor, because nothing since then has fit. And then on top of that, her first wrestling match, my 13-year-old daughter mentions this to me. I don't know if WrestleMania is a good place for someone to start. Point taken.
No, not. I mean, you know, maybe she'll surprise us, but, and especially with like, you could, I mean, it's a tag match, so you can't, I mean, Kurt Angle was her partner and he's kind of old. Like, I mean, you'll go back and watch that when he subbed in for the Shield. I mean, dude's like taking bumps out of the ring and landing on his head. Like, I don't know if he should be in there all that lot. So this match better be like 5 minutes or something. Like it better not, like the entrances better last longer than the match.
I mean, and listen, I loved Kurt's run in TNA. I loved Kurt's run in WWE, but he can't even say WWE anymore.
I don't think he could ever say WWE. WWE. What? WWE what?
Oh gosh. All right.
Be quick.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's no way Rousey loses this match, right?
Probably not. But so I mean, you never know. Who knows?
We shall see. We shall see. All right. Your favorite match. This is the one that you've been talking to me about for years and years and years. The Bludgeon Brothers.
Oh God.
Okay, here's what's sad to me about this. The Usos in the New Day have this, maybe the one feud that's around, maybe Miz Cena's up there too. That's historic, that I think, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we'll look back and, with more matches even. So you have these two historic teams, and then you have the dumbest named wrestling.
Throw this in there.
The Bludgeon Brothers. I mean,
and it's sad. I mean, because I like Luke Harper.
Well, Luke Harper's a fantastic wrestler. He's lost a ton of weight. He looks great, by the way, other than the fact he's got these clothes on. Okay, but here's what there's a part of me that thinks that this could be a really good match. I mean, and I'm a little sad that it's not a ladder match, because it sort of has the feel of those old school Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian matches, where you've got the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian team and the Usos and New Day with the Dudleys, the Bludgeon Brothers kind of taking that. I'm a little sad that they haven't thrown that stip in. I think that stip would have made this an even better match. I mean, I don't know, Nino. Convince me.
So
go ahead.
Are they gonna go? So I mean, is this triple threat rules where each team has a member in at the same time?
I think so. It's yeah. I'm pretty
Is it
sure
that
that's what it
weird
is.
thing where you can tag out to
Oh
another
God.
team? I hope it's not that.
Oh God. I. That's a
Because
good question.
if anything, I mean, as annoying as it is adding these rubber mallet brothers to the match, it at least gives the Usos New Day a kind of new dynamic, which kind of keeps it. I mean, they've been doing a hell of a job keeping all these different matches that they've had fresh, but it does give sort of a new wrinkle to them being in a match together. Because I mean, we how
Right.
many times have we seen them? And even with the fact that the New Day could throw a couple different combos out there, how many times have we seen them? It's like, how many times can you see them? Well, apparently you can see them a lot, and it still is entertaining. And then you throw this whole triple threat in there, and maybe give them a little bit of a new wrinkle, which will be interesting. I'm just glad that they're actually on the proper card, and maybe you should even get some time to properly say, hey, this is what one of the better tag team feuds of the past few years has been doing over on SmackDown. It's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think one of two things. I don't think the New Day is going to win the belt. I think they're probably primed to stay together as a team, but maybe start wrestling some singles matches past this. But I do kind of think that this is either going to be an Usos getting their moment, like you mentioned last week, or it's going to be the Bludgeon Brothers winning, and then us seeing maybe this Usos kind of this long run with them trying to overcome this unbeatable team, because the Usos to me on either show. And we've sort of kind of nipped at this, I think, last week. I don't know that there has been a bigger turnaround and better promos from a team than the Usos since they've shifted to this day one-ish persona, this hardcore persona, which I love, which plays well as a heel, also plays well as a face. Right. I think this could be a fun run. And if there's any team that could get over the Bludgeon Brothers, it's the Usos.
Yeah. And I mean, they've let them be them. I mean, you said it with that. It's been, I mean, granted, it's still probably kind of controlled in a way, but it's like, just go do your own thing. Don't go out there and, I mean, like some of the crap that they make Reigns do. It's like, just go out there and I think that's kind of what they've been doing with the whole Uso penitentiary thing. It's been just sort of them turned up to a level that, I mean, they're probably not like that in real life, I'm sure. But just kind of taking like a whole attitude with it,
but the promos,
them.
Gosh, those promos that they cut, those intertwining, like the way that two really close brothers can do, like I mean it, that has been absolutely fantastic. I mean, I've yet to see them cut a bad promo since. So that you're right. I mean, they're hitting their strength personified. What do you think? I mean, who's going to win the match?
I kind of like, I mean, what you said about the bludgies here.
That would be a better name.
Getting the bludgies. I mean, that's a Netflix thing. I mean, I can't take credit for that. I don't know. I guess I'll go with the Bludgeon Brothers because it would make the tag team landscape and SmackDown a little more interesting, kind of like what you said with the Usos chasing.
Then you could, you mentioned the possibility of maybe like a team like the Authors of Pain coming up. That would be a fun little feud. So, all right, let's get to the match that's not a match. We did talk a lot about this, but now that we're here at the doorstep of WrestleMania 34, Cena versus The Undertaker.
What are they doing?
The continual, just absolute destruction of The Undertaker in promos has continued. So
like, is he cool with all this? Like, you gotta wonder if they were onto him or like, hey, look, Cena's gonna go out there and make goofy faces and call you out. And are you cool with him doing all this?
I hope he's not. I hope he's not.
I hope he's not. And that's like what they're doing here, and he's not coming. Like, he just doesn't show up. Like, how funny would that be? Like, no, I'm pissed at them. I'm not coming back. I'm not going to go and wrestle. They've They got Cena out there joking around, waving his hand in front of his face, calling me a whatever. I'm not going there. Screw them.
Could this be a back pocket way for them to ensure that when Roman Reigns beats Brock Lesnar, if they start booing, is this their way to curtail that by having the lights go out and having the Undertaker music start playing?
God, I don't know. I mean,
because I would love it. I would go ahead.
If they're smart, Brock and Reigns don't close the show, so they don't have that.
But come on, I mean, we'll get to that match too. I can't imagine it's going to close the show. Let's just go. Let's just leave. I don't even. Okay, so let's go real quick. Let's go to.
That's the plan. I hope Cena is out as a fan in the front row for the entire 7 hours.
How amazing would that be? That would be amazing. That would get John Cena over to me if he just sat there. It was like hammered at the end because he's just pounding beers.
Yes.
Because honestly, would there be a better promo than drunk John Cena at the end of WrestleMania 34 having not wrestled?
Especially do that, and all of that, like there would be no more Cena sucks. Like it would just be let's go see, and no one would respond. It'd just be like, all right, yeah, let's go see. This is great. Golf clap. Like good boy. Yeah, we like this.
Oh, it's not happening though, is it? He's going to end up He's going to end up Braun Strowman's partner. That's what's going to happen.
Oh, that would be. I mean, I don't know.
No.
About that. That's interesting.
No. Well, we'll get to that. I've got an idea. But, All right. So, if that match happens, this has to be The Undertaker's last match, right? Like, he's going to win this, right?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I read a really interesting perspective. Maybe it's not a match. Maybe Cena comes out and makes a few more like corny jokes and goofy faces, and the lights go out and Undertaker comes out and just thrashes him and leaves. I mean, I'd sign up for that, I guess. It's no different than The Rock coming out with a flamethrower for 30 minutes and emasculating Rusev. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how can you really have a match?
Yeah. All right, let's just put that aside. Let's talk about a match that just got really interesting for me. Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal, and now Rusev, who apparently has made a face turn because he wrestled Jinder Mahal on Tuesday and won clean. I gotta think the smart play here, and hear me out, because this is usually when Randy Orton takes off, and I haven't heard anything, but he usually disappears for a while after WrestleMania. I just don't think Jinder Mahal is the route they want to go. I mean, he played his part, and he did probably better than expected as the world champ. I think it's time to turn Roode heel, and we talked about that a little bit last week. Wouldn't the best way to finish this would be to have Rusev win, and then have Roode go off at the end of this match, and then we have that double turn where we have now a Rusev-Roode run for a couple of pay-per-views.
Yes. Yes, I don't have anything to say against that. Yes, do that. That would be great. I mean, you had Mahal out there with the sing and sing. Terrible. Like, that's a heel move if there ever is one. I mean, so like you're gonna tell me after having English come out and Rusev and the people chanting, like they've been chanting Rusev Day for the past like 5 weeks. Like, you're telling me he's not a face? Like, what? I'm glad they're finally on that train. Give Rusev the title. Make every day Rusev Day officially. Let's just embrace this. I like the idea of a double turn. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. And I just love the interactions that Rusev has with Bobby Roode, because he calls him Bob Roode. Just do that. Bob Roode.
Oh man, I gotta tell you, if they give him the run, like, and he's a good wrestler. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always liked his work in the ring. So I'm really looking forward to that match. All right,
Rusev is low key like the most entertaining guy on the roster. Like,
really, like he really is.
So just like he's just, I mean, I don't know. He just says things.
Did
Like
you?
he
Did
said
you?
Rusev Day. He didn't even like he's just like Rusev, like it's Rusev Day because it was the new day. Like it's Rusev
Yeah.
Day, and they're making calendars. Like he's
and
gold.
he's got a singer now. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, they've essentially replaced his wife. I can't. Let's just leave that alone. All right.
Okay.
I do want to talk about this really interesting angle, and we did talk about this last week, but the Alexa Bliss Nia Jax match for the Raw Women's Championship. They're going all in on this fat shaming angle, which is tough to watch if it doesn't pay off. And I'm always scared about matches like this because if it doesn't pay off, it's got to pay off, right?
I don't know. I'm just kind of over it. I think it's, I don't know. It's just really weird what you're doing with two people that have very publicly said that this has been a actual personal issue, and you're making them go out there and do that. I don't know. I have an issue with it. I'm just kind of over it in general. Like you said, it's got to pay off, and I feel like the best way to pay it off is Bliss runs out of the ring, tries to escape, runs around, gets chased, somehow ends up back in the ring, and Nia Jax just like murks her right there, and it's over in 10 seconds. Like I feel like that's the way you need to go. Like just Nia's just like unloads on her for everything. But I don't know if they'll do that. So I mean, maybe they will. They got 13 matches to get through, so something's gonna go short, right?
Yeah, well, we haven't even gotten to the good matches yet. I mean, let's talk. So I mean, I'm 50-50 on that match, by the way. I think I mean, I could see a scenario where she doesn't win, but it would be horrific. I mean, they've got to pay that off. So I'm going to say Nia Jax, but I won't hold my breath. All right. Now we're getting into the interesting matches. I think that, and I'm not saying this is going to be the best match, but it could be. Had they have built this the right way, I do think that the Charlotte Asuka match could have been the main event. I don't think they played it quite right, but we do have this really great angle playing up with the Empress versus the Queen, and I just think they didn't. If they'd given it another month, if they'd just had Asuka come out and just said it's going to be me and you, and they would have had that extra month, that build up to me, and then they've had her on the other show. I mean, it just frustrates me so much. All right, I'm going to let you have the reins here. No pun intended. We'll get to that match, but this does have potential. I do think this is one of those matches, where they could blow the roof off, because if they go stiff, which I think they will, because both are pretty stiff wrestlers, and I do think that they're both, wrestling background people. I think this could be the surprise match of the whole card.
I think it's no doubt gonna be a good match. Like you're not gonna watch it and not feel like, oh, they didn't put on a good show. Like they're gonna give it time, and it's gonna be a good match. Let me just ask you this. Do you feel in any sort of way that Charlotte has a chance of winning?
No, I don't.
And that's the problem.
Right.
Okay. And that's the problem with the build. And that's the issue that I've watched this unfold. That's the issue that I have. It's like you had an easy layup in giving Charlotte some sort of credibility in this. They've built up this whole streak thing with Asuka. Like they've hammered it home, and that's great. Like they could have continued to do that. But by doing that, you've given me no reason whatsoever to believe that even Charlotte thinks that she's going to win. Like, you just have her come out and be like, "Well, I'm Asuka and I'm undefeated and nobody's ready for me." And then Charlotte's just like, "Well, I'm the queen." Like, okay, great. Like, do you have a crown? Like, what's the point? They had an easy layup by just, I mean, they've never faced each other. You can just simply have Asuka come out and say, nobody's ready for me. I'm undefeated, blah, blah, blah. And Charlotte's like, well, you haven't faced me yet. You haven't been at a WrestleMania. You haven't been on this stage. So let's see you do it there. And until you can do it there, you haven't done anything yet. Like, that's the money right there. And then you're getting me to think, okay, well, maybe Asuka is a little bit vulnerable, and then maybe she's thinking she's not as invincible as she is, because she's gone out every week and she's like, nobody's ready for me. And she's made it very clear that she doesn't think otherwise, and no one's really stood up to her. So I, I, I guess that's the problem that I've had. They've really screwed up what could have been a fantastic build to what will definitely be a really good match. But I don't really have any sort of suspense in it. I think we all know who's going to win, and they've made it really clear who they want to win, which is fine. Like, I think that's the right move to continue to just build Asuka up. But I don't know. Give me something other than
Well, I
what
mean,
we know is going to happen.
is her undefeated streak ultimately what gets Ronda Rousey over down the line? Is that the plan? I mean,
Probably is. Ugh.
I mean, yeah, that's the sad thing for me, because the perfect play here for me is if Asuka does win the belt, and I think we both think that she is, having Charlotte be the one down the road, maybe even next WrestleMania to beat her, that's the route to go. But my fear is that it's going to be Ronda Rousey, such as life. Yeah. At least we're going to get a good match out of it. I really wish.
Yeah, for sure.
Your idea was fantastic. If ever there was a moment for the women to actually get the main event spot.
Yes. And that's where you go with it.
Right. You build, and they've been trying to do that. They just haven't hit the tone. You just hit the tone. We need to book this thing. All right, let's I wanted to hit the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match now. And I don't think we have to say too much on this match. With Brock Lesnar, apparently all set to sign with UFC. And I do think that's a shoot. I don't think that that's fake. Although if it is, props to Dana White, props to the WWE. I do think that they're setting up, Reigns to win. And I do think Lesnar is going to go to the UFC. He'll be back to the WWE. I think that's getting overplayed. Give me a reason, Nino, why I'm not going to crap on this the way that they crapped on WrestleMania 20 when we knew Lesnar and new Hall of Famer Goldberg both were leaving. I mean, they've got Lesnar leaving. Mm-hmm. They've got Heyman acknowledging it, and they've got Roman Reigns against him. Like, this seems to be there seems to be a lot of potential.
Boy, I don't know. Here, okay. I think maybe this. You go. I don't know. Maybe it could just end up just that's what it is, and it's clear to everyone what's going to happen here. Reigns is running them down for being this. Heyman's out there and everyone's like, oh, there's no way that's what they're going to do, even though that's what we thought they were going to do with having Reigns go over. And maybe they just do it and they're like, well, that's what we were going to do. We didn't really telegraph that one at all. And then maybe it is just this big elaborate, like, let's throw all this out there, make everyone think that we are going that way, and Brock wins. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. So I guess in that light, maybe they've given us some sort of doubt. I think the best way to not have this be crapped over, regardless of who wins, is that it goes like 7 minutes and we're out. Just have them just throw bombs at each other for 5 or so minutes, set up like some sort of 2-minute finish, and it's over. And like I said, not let it close the show, because that would be. I'm after sitting through like 6 hours. I don't need to sit through 20 minutes of Brock Lesnar wheezing in the ring, looking like he's going to die.
Well, and they kind of did that with Goldberg last year, and
Right.
I mean, and it was fine. It was a fine, I would say, slightly better than fine match. So maybe they go that route again. I'm ready for the Lesnar era to be over. So yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad Reigns is getting the belt. I hope that Heyman goes away for a little bit too. I want him back, perhaps with Rousey, perhaps with someone else. Man, I really want that Dangerous Alliance to come back, but that's for another day. All right, this to me could be the most fun match, only because it's the only place I think WWE can throw out a big surprise. And we talked about potential surprises, and I missed one last week. So here's the Cesaro Sheamus Braun Strowman match. I'm really looking forward to this because you brought out the Ellsworth idea. I'm going to throw you one better. They pulled your boy Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose off of WrestleMania's Access last week. They pulled him out. He's not going to be there. I'm starting to hear about this new look. I was listening to the Masked Man podcast today, and they were talking about the fact that he shaved his head now and he has a beard. Apparently, maybe he's going to be a Bludgeon Brother. I don't know. Wouldn't that be a best case scenario for Braun Strowman if Braun Strowman comes out and we get to see Dean Ambrose make his return?
I was thinking, because everyone's been throwing like surprise partners out, and I saw that, and I just kind of was like, I don't know, that doesn't really make any sense to me. And then I thought about it just now when you were saying that. I was like, well, wait a minute, he's on the shelf because of the bar. So yeah, okay,
yes,
that kind of makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with that.
Tell me one other thing. Why is Sheamus still wrestling when he's got spinal stenosis? Isn't that why Edge isn't wrestling? Didn't they force him to retire? Like, what am I missing? Is this Sheamus's last WrestleMania?
Maybe.
I don't know.
It feels weird, but I mean, we all thought, and then he's out there still winning the tag titles. So I guess he's okay. I don't know. I mean, they didn't let Daniel Bryan wrestle because they were scared of something.
Apparently, they don't care about Sheamus.
Headbutting people, fine, okay, whatever.
All right, we're down to 2 matches. I think 2. The match I'm most looking forward to on this card is, I don't think it's going to be the match of the card, but with Daniel Bryan coming back, I think it's the one match everybody's been buzzing about for 3 weeks. Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. We did hit this pretty hard last week. Let's just get right down to the bare bones here. I mean, they've got a 2-minute video on WWE.com showing Daniel Bryan going full bore in the ring. He looks the same. I obviously he's not going to be doing any head dives anytime soon, but I mean, and this to me is another one of those matches that could go really any direction. As much as I think Daniel Bryan's going to win this match, that's never been his MO. His MO has always been to come from the ground up. I think he's going to lose. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Shane's going to turn. I don't know what's going to happen. But I don't know. Like, this could go in so many different ways. I so want to see El Generico. I so want to see Kevin Steen, but I don't know. What do you think, Nino? Like, where is this going to go? Has your opinion changed over the past week?
I still don't know where it's going. It just you got Shane and Brian out there opening up SmackDown, and I just didn't know what to think of that.
Oh, they hugged.
Apologize, and like I kind of like. All right, so now there's some sort of like motivation there, and I kind of get now why they're teaming. So I at least needed that. Like, that's good, but I don't know. Just it still felt really like really swarmy on Shane McMahon's part. He's just out there kind of like. First of all, how is that man allowed to wrestle? Like, does he really have diverticulitis, or what's going? Like,
I don't know. Is this like some sort of shoot to piss off Brock?
I don't know. So like there's after that though, there's really no reason that either of them are turning on each other, right? So is this just going to be straight up a tag match and it's going to be a clean finish? I mean,
Yeah,
I guess.
well, so what's Shane McMahon going to do? What's he going to climb on top of? There's no way.
Hopefully for the man's children, nothing. Like, I think he's done, like, he's shown his kids that he can dive off. Let's not do that anymore. How about that? Let's look after the man's well-being. I mean, if we're going to keep Daniel Bryan out for 2 years because we're worried about him getting another concussion, let's not let Shane McMahon jump through something and get pierced by like a sword or something. Let's just not do that.
It's going to be a lot of fun though, seeing Daniel Bryan going up against, two of his oldest friends. Just seeing him mix it up again with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn is going to be phenomenal. My guess here is, I mean, at the end of the day, if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn win, that's the least fun of this. If they lose, either they show up on Raw and we start getting to see the shuffle go on, or we get to see El Generico and Kevin Steen back, which would be a lot of fun. I really want to see Sami Zayn get a real push, and he's finally getting that. I do kind of want to see it apart from Kevin Owens for a while, but what a great heel Sami Zayn has turned out to be. So
oh my God, him on Thursday or Tuesday just got all Daniel Bryan's child. He was making fun of a baby.
I saw an interview with him about a year ago saying how much he didn't want to turn heel, and
he's good at it.
He has embraced. You could see, like, from day one, he just bought into it, and just a little twist in his entrance.
Right. He's not being like, and that's the great thing. He's not really being different. He's still being Sami Zayn. He's just being like, I'm just gonna go out there and just like you said, just a little twist. Not really.
And it's
still Sami Zayn. It's just like loopy and weird.
Well, and at least he's not like, they were turning him into this like, hey, I'm not really going to wrestle. What I'm going to do is sit in the background, like in backstage, and just give you annoying facts for 20 minutes. That's going to be my gimmick. So I'm glad they went. I'm glad they turned that into something and made him an actual heel. A Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan run for 3 months would be okay by me if that's where they end up going with this. Yeah. I just hope. My one concern about Kevin Owens is that, you want to talk about a guy that was rocket strapped right from the start. I mean, he's kind of been sputtering with, the Jericho run was great. He had the belt with Jericho, but ever since then, he's kind of been in these like partnerships, and this don't get me wrong, this Owens Zayn partnership has been fantastic, but every fourth or fifth minute of every promo they cut, I keep thinking to myself, how is this different from last year? But, so I do, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn split apart as heels who are friends. I'm okay with. I hope that's the direction they go. All right. So, the AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura match, the only buzz I had for this, Nino, going into it was just the fact that, like I followed these guys for years and years. Of course, they had the match at New Japan when they both came to the WWE. I will say this about the WWE. They over the past 2 weeks, they started to figure this angle out. Kind of, and I think they've really hit the groove with kind of each member of their little friendship kind of patronizing each other over the past couple weeks with those simple, I'm not going to hit you with my big move. I'm going to pat you on the head. As simple as that was, it really worked for me. I really kind of like where they're at with this. I just, again, can't figure out to me, it seems like Nakamura is going to get the belt, but I think if they let these two go, I think it's the one way they can get. You're finally, I think, starting to get to see the Nakamura that we got to see in NXT, and I think AJ Styles can bring out this whole nother level in him, and I think Nakamura can do that too with AJ Styles. I mean, here's a question for you, Nino. Have you seen a bad match with AJ Styles yet in WWE?
I mean, no, and he's wrestled James Ellsworth like 3 times.
He wrestled Jinder. I mean,
that's true. I forgot. I'm sorry to James Ellsworth. He wrestled Jinder Mahal,
and that was a great match. Okay, the funny part about it,
Shane McMahon last year.
Yeah, in a match that pissed me off greatly, but still turned out to be pretty good. But here's the only match I can think of that I didn't think was good was his match at WrestleMania. Was it
Jericho?
Yeah, I hated that match. I thought that match was terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't really. It didn't really move the needle for me. I don't really remember much from it. So yeah, yeah, he doesn't really have a bad match. I mean, he brings out the best in people.
And the fact that you could legitimately, well, I mean, you can with all the matches that Cena's had over the years, like legit AJ Styles right now after their kind of run over the past like 18 months, you could legitimately put him in Cena's top 2 or 3, you know, as best feuds just because of the fantastic matches that they have. But here's the real question, Nino. Who is going to win this match? I mean, I don't think it matters. I think you have to ask yourself who needs the belt more. And I think if you ask that question, it becomes obvious. But with that being said, who do you think wins this match?
You know, I think that's the fun thing. And I think, you know, there's been some years where, I mean, the WWE title hasn't really meant anything, or, you know, World Championship or whatever. And it's just kind of like, what, you know, but like legitimately for this to just be like, you know, whatever. And it's more of in a good way, you know, I don't know who, like, I legitimately don't know. That's the beauty of it. They've built this up really well. I don't really know who they're going to go with. And like you said, I don't think it really matters. I think you're just going to see a really good match between 2 guys who know each other very well. And that's kind of the angle that they've played it up the past few weeks, which has been much better than whatever it is they were doing to start it off. Like, you just got Nakamura in the back just saying, I'm going to beat you. And AJ just being like, okay, whatever. Like, that was their build for a while. I was like, what? Okay, great. Now it's been a little bit better. Now you've got sort of like, all right, well, Shinsuke's been playing mind games. He knows AJ's emotional. AJ, you know, has kind of been here for a while. So maybe he's not really playing into Nakamura's games as much as you would have thought. So it's a little bit more better than it was going there for a few weeks. So it's not really focused on the title. And in years past, that kind of would have been a bad thing. But I think this year it kind of works. It's not really the thing. Yeah, Shinsuke wants to win it, but it's not really the reason that they're fighting. I mean, it is, but it isn't in a way. And I think that's what you need. And it kind of is a really, you know, it's a testament to them to actually put this match together and let us have it. I mean, it's going to be a fun one.
Well, and it would be, I mean, you know, as much as, you know, Nakamura having the NXT belt is, you know, having a Japanese wrestler for the first time holding a WWE championship, world championship. I think, you know, they like to do these big moments. It would be a big deal if Asuka and Nakamura, you know, both win the belt on the same night. They've been known to do that. They did it, you know, with Eddie Guerrero won it the same night that I can't remember, going blank. But anyways, I could see this. I could totally see this be something that they do. I don't think at the end of the day it matters. I think AJ Styles is probably long overdue to make a run over at Raw. I think we're going to see a lot of switching up over the coming weeks after that. So win or lose, I think. Although do you move Styles now that Daniel Bryan might be on SmackDown? I don't know. I'm more, as much as I hate to say it, now having gone through this whole entire card, Monday night's going to be fun. Monday night might be the best night that we've seen in a while, and Tuesday night for that matter, as we start seeing maybe some people shifting brands, so on and so forth. All right, we got to close things up here. Well, go ahead. I missed a match.
Your boy.
What did I miss?
My
boy.
The IC triple threat match, man.
Oh my gosh! Yes. I saved that for a reason. All right. Okay. So in 2017, these three, Miz, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, had one of the top 5 matches in the WWE. It was a triple threat match. I don't know if you remember it. It's the match where I believe Samoa Joe came into the ring at one point, and someone else came in. It might have been Bray Wyatt. I think it was Bray Wyatt. Samoa Joe broke up this amazing match. We're getting that match again. And I think the buildup for this match has been spectacular. I think that they've done it really well. Miz really kind of directing this. And it really kind of goes to show you where he's placed in this company, because I think Seth Rollins kind of needed that boost back up. And obviously Finn Balor has been stagnant since the injury. I mean, there's lots of questions I have about this match. I mean, I think it could go in a bunch of different directions, but I do think I do think that I give you like an 80% chance on who's going to win this. I'm going to let you kind of take this first. I think this could be, to me, this has got the best chance to be the match of this card because of who's in it. The Miz is, in my opinion, the absolute positive Ric Flair of the company right now. I think he's just phenomenal. He polishes everything up. Seth Rollins, I mean, you can't say enough about how he works. Finn Balor, you can't say enough how he works. I don't know. I mean, is this going to be, I can't imagine this ever being a letdown.
No, it's going to be good. I think it again is kind of one of those, that's the beauty of some of these matches, that, like some of the ones we just talked about, you're not really sure which way it's going to go. But I think you're going to see Rollins and Balor kind of tear the house down for a while, and then opportunistic Mike Mizanin comes in and gets he deserves it. Let's be honest too. Like, he deserves some sort of a win on this stage. Like, he's been putting in some work, and like you said, he's really, like, him going out there and basically telling Seth and Finn, like, we're like talking them in, and they're like, no, we're not going to feel that way. And just like 2 seconds later, they're bickering at each other, and he's just sitting there smiling. Like, he's just been doing great work, so he kind of deserves it, in my opinion.
Oh, the gimmick with the Miz Taraj, like him messing up and then I mean, and these are his ideas. I mean, these are. I mean, as I was driving from North Carolina to Erie today, I was thinking way back to when I was watching The Real World, when Mike Mizanin was on that show, running around with his fake belt. And I remember thinking, I just thinking today, like, how perfect is this? Now, let me kind of throw this out to you, and I'm going to kind of go back to when we were talking, go full circle here. We were talking about NXT TakeOver. Listen, man, I think he does deserve his moment. But I think that if Roman Reigns is winning the belt, and I mean, I really think that the next guy that could be on, well, two things. One, wherever Daniel Bryan is, that's where the Miz is going to end up. Two, if that's not Raw, and if they keep Miz on Raw, I mean, you want to talk about a fantastic feud. To me, because Roman Reigns and Miz had a nice little feud there in the middle. I think that it would set up really nice for the Miz losing the IC belt, feeding right into a feud with Roman Reigns. The bad part about that is that's not a winning feud. Whereas I think him losing this IC belt and perhaps Daniel Bryan coming in to lay claim to it. Well, see, there's the other side of this. Now I'm talking myself out of it, because Daniel Bryan never lost that belt. So I don't know, man. You're saying the Miz is going to win this?
I got the Miz, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go to my I'm going to ask myself who needs the belt the most. And if I ask you that question, of the three guys, Nino, who's the guy in this match that needs the belt the most?
Finn.
Absolutely. So I'm going to say Finn Balor wins this match.
Question for you.
Uh-oh. Go for it.
Do we see the Demon?
The Demon. Gosh, I haven't even thought of that. It would be a great surprise. Has he ever done that? He's not. This is his first Mania, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was hurt last year. That's kind of been the big thing. Like, can't wait to see the Demon entrance at WrestleMania, right? I mean, do they do that for this? They've built the Demon up as being kind of like, I mean, it's locked. Like, you can't really beat the Demon.
But to me,
he could not be beaten. Like, Miz could pin Seth, or Seth could pin the Miz. Like, the Demon could not get pinned. But if we see it, then
he's winning.
Mm-hmm.
I love the gimmick. Although I will say that the more I saw the gimmick, the more I kept saying to myself, like, I don't get it. Like, can't you just come out and be badass without having to put paint on your face? But, my daughter, again, my 13-year-old daughter, who's as big a wrestling fan as I am, she was talking about how stale Finn Balor was getting. It might be a good time to bring the Demon back, have him win that belt. But, the thing that I think they're missing here, in New Japan, he used to come out in other gimmicks. It wasn't just the Demon. Maybe they're missing out on something. Maybe he'll come out as the American Badass. Oh God!
Yeah, like upset. He comes out as the Undertaker.
The Undertaker's music comes on, and out comes Finn Balor. Oh man!
I was salty just because I enjoy when Finn comes out and he puts his hands up in the air and everyone does it with him.
I'm sorry, but
I do that too. Like, I'll do that in there. Like, I'm watching it. I'll put my hands up like,
I do it every time. My kids think I'm nuts. I do it every the best I ever saw, he came, NXT played Cleveland. I think their first road show was in Cleveland, and the videos that were coming from that with that crowd popping with him doing that was phenomenal. Ever since then, that's been my move. I did it a couple times. I'm a teacher, and I did it in my classroom a couple times. I put on the music and came walking into my room. My kids thought I was nuts. Two of them knew what I was doing though, so it was good. All right, let's close things up here. What do you think the match of the night's going to be?
Oh boy. Styles Shinsuke.
Is it going to close the show? What's going to open the show?
God.
It's got to Miz, Rollins, Balor.
That opens the show, because I swear to God, by like 11 o'clock, I'm like tapping out. If that's the last match, I'm like the past few years I've been falling asleep. Like I'm old. Like even now, it's like really past my bedtime while we're recording this. So like if you got me watching like 5 hours of wrestling and it's 10 o'clock and you're telling me I still have like 2 more hours to go, I'm probably shooting myself in the face. So for my sake, maybe I hope that opens the show, and that all the garbage that I don't care about, like Rousey and Lesnar and
Hogan. Sorry.
Closes the show, and I can get all the stuff that I want to watch, and I can watch the other crap in the morning.
Oh man, I
guess I don't know.
What time does this show starting at? 5?
The kickoff starts at 5, I think.
Oh my gosh.
No. The actual show starts at 7. I feel like the kickoff's like a 3-hour kick. It might start at 4 Eastern time.
Oh man. Okay. Well, all right. So we're gonna wrap it up there. If you didn't notice, Nino, I did shut the timer off a long time ago. All right. Well, I don't know. It seems like as we're going through these, I'm finding all the negative parts about all of these matches, but I do think we have the potential for one of the best. And New Orleans is a great town. I mean, the crowd's going to be hot, of course. But man, I mean, we should rank these. But the problem is going to be if we podcast next week, we're going to have the Monday after WrestleMania, and that's almost a podcast in and of itself. So I'm not promising what's coming next. Nino and I will talk about it off air. We'll get back to y'all on that. But hey, you got 2 out of us. So there's that. I don't know. Maybe we'll throw a wrench into everything and talk baseball the next time. No.
Am I allowed to be upset or no?
Nino, they're 2-4. You should be happy about that.
I'm ecstatic that a couple of the losses were Kluber. He still pitched like Kluber. I mean,
that's nothing. I mean, and that's honestly nothing to worry about. No. I don't know if you knew this. Games in April don't count.
Oh. Okay.
So we good. I just asked Tito. His record is like 20 games under 500 in April. So who cares? We'll be fine. Everything's good.
Kickoff starts at 5, by the way. Jesus.
And
it's my entire evening.
It's going to be 11:05. The match, the final, the Lesnar match is going to be over, and the Undertaker's coming out. It's going till midnight.
It went till like midnight last year.
I feel like it did.
And like that, and with the reduced pay-per-views, that's what's good. Like we're gonna be getting not this, but we're gonna be getting like 2-hour kickoffs and these 4-hour shows.
Maybe
6 hours every month on a Sunday. Like I can't do that, man.
I know. I'm gonna end up getting divorced because of wrestling.
Like Moxley's come in here like 3 times and we're like, what are you doing? Like, let's go to bed. Like Sunday he's gonna be like, really? What are we still doing watching this?
I love that your dog's named Moxley. That the next dog I get, I'm gonna beat that. I don't know how yet. Hey, how about no? Okay, one last thing. Miz throws out the shoot and calls Seth Rollins Tyler Black and calls Finn Balor Prince Devitt. I love it. All right, Mike Mizanin, he's the all-star. All right, so only piece of homework you have, Nino. We both need to have an MVP for WrestleMania 34 ready to go for the next time we talk about wrestling. All right, on that note, Nino Colla at Snarky Nino, Jim Pete at Jim Pete EHC. Follow us, do all that fun stuff.